Nobody? Hello. We are delayed. Technical difficulties. All right, here we go. We're 5 minutes late today. That's how we are. 5 minutes late. Okay. However long. Okay. Whew. Hopefully it won't rain. I don't have my sunglasses on. We have lovely tiki torches that are really smoking, but it's awesome. I love them. And look how pretty they are. These are courtesy of Erica over here. They are great. Let's turn on. You guys turn your some music for yourself. I would recommend not the playlist that we have used on Saturday because it's a little too peppy for Yin. It's a little too peppy for Yin. But I mean, if you want it, it's fine. But I am not gonna use it. I'm gonna use something else. Here, Erica, grab a block just in case we need one. I don't know. And then I am interested to see whether these are gonna repel the mosquitoes. So I apologize for the delay. Not that is a problem in any way. But I like to be on time, even though it is interesting how I really enjoy not being anywhere on time for the last 9 weeks. Like not having to be in school at certain time, not having to be anywhere on time, even though I've been teaching classes on time. But anyway, so let's see. The playlist that I am gonna play is slow dancing, just in case you wanted to have the same playlist on, but that would have to mean that you're following me and you can immediately find that playlist. It is from 411. It's called Slow Dancing. That's the one that I'm going to use today because I feel it's better for you than the one that we use on Saturday. Otherwise, if you would please stay tuned. I am working on updated schedule as the studios are opening. As I don't know who has heard or hasn't heard, I'm starting to teach at camp, which I'm really excited about. Here's my camp shirt representing. My first class will be on Saturday, and then my two other classes will be Tuesday noon and Wednesday at 9:30 in the morning. I will still continue streaming. I'm trying to figure out what the best schedule will be, but so just stay tuned, and if you have any input, please do let me know. There is a little, not survey, but is it a survey? What would you call it? There's a question on Instagram about, A vote. There's a vote on Instagram in my story about Saturday time, a new time, because I will be teaching at 11 at the studio. So I will not be able to live stream at 11, but I will live stream at some other time. But definitely not getting rid of Saturday. Saturday's been so much fun. It's been so much fun. For us anyway. It's been a lot of fun for Robbie. Oh gosh. So far the vote is for 9 o'clock in the morning. How do you feel about it, Erica? Is it too early for you?
It might be a little too early for me. But it's okay.
But if you stay here on Friday, you spend the night, then you can just get up at 8:45.
You just move me here and I'll lay here. I'll sleep here while you do the class.
Yes, we can do that. You could just be like a moral support. Another fun, hopefully you're in seated position, hopefully your sits bones are connected into the mat. While we're chatting, actually, let's start in Supta Baddha Konasana. We can still chat and combine that with a nice, useful stretch. So Supta Baddha Konasana, soles of the feet together, and just fold. Just fold or relax. I love to start in with this fold. I don't always do it, but funny story which just reminded me as I was chatting with Erica over here. Erica and I, before the whole COVID thing happened, had planned on starting a porch talk. Like before anything ever before any live stream ever happened, we were like, we should start a porch talk of some kind and then like just talk, because I'll tell you why, because Erica is really funny. And we were thinking always talking about some kind of a topic, and in some way, shape or form related to a self-work, personal development, connection to your feelings and emotions, and trigger point therapy. And I'm a life coach, and she's a trigger point massage therapist. So we were kind of like, playing with the idea of having some kind of a talk. And it never happened. But maybe now, when we're so used to streaming all the time, we could just plug in one more stream, maybe like 30 minutes, or maybe even 20. We'll see, and then just chat. Wouldn't that be fun? What do you think, Robbie?
Perfect. I would like an appointment. Porch Talk Session 1.
Hashtag Porch Talk Session 1. So yes, I would love for that to happen. I wanted that to happen. I mean, how long have we been talking about this?
A while.
Like at least a year? Yeah. At least a year. So do let us know. Maybe send us some topics. If there's anybody, I don't even know if there's anybody watching. But that's okay. That's okay. Sometimes people watch backwards, like later. So everything goes onto my YouTube channel. We should start a YouTube channel just for that. Or maybe we could just, I don't know. We should certainly figure it out, because I think it would be, for one, hilarious. And for two, I think people would enjoy that. Robbie will enjoy that.
Heck yeah.
Oh my god, this year is going really well, you guys. So just notice if you're sinking a little deeper, we'll take it more into, we'll make it a little more inward. We're also hoping it's not going to start raining, but it looks okay. Notice where you find yourself this Monday. It's been a little strange Monday for me anyway. I don't know. I felt a little overwhelmed. My son was like all over the place today, which never helps. But I was really proud of how I handled him at one point, and I was about to lose my temper, and then I was like, he's 8. Just take a breath, stop whatever it is you're doing, compose yourself, and then talk to him. And then I did, so I did all that, and he had a meltdown, but then he calmed down, and then we kind of finished our conversation, and it was very, very productive. So I was feeling really good about being able to, kind of hold it together and manage the conversation and steer it in a way that I wanted it to go. So it was a little proud parenting moment there today. As opposed to the opposite. Alright, you guys, slowly rise up. And then remember, as soon as you get into Yin, it's slow motion, tuning into the sensations of the body, not really releasing anything as you kind of come out of the posture. You allow the sensations to come. And then extending the legs long in front of you. Again, not really wiggling or anything. Just let them come out. And then just soften them and notice what happens. Take your right knee in, cross it over your left, and it would be close to your knee or slightly further out, right? So you have plenty of space between your belly and your thigh. Your left arm or outer edge of your tricep will go over the right knee, your right hand will go behind you. Now the back hand is nice and soft, so you don't even have to, prop it up. If you just want to hang it down, that's totally fine. But fingertips generally feel nice. Just notice if you're leaning back into that hand. You don't want to do what I'm doing right now. You want to stay in the sits bones. You want to stay lifted up through the chest. If anything, you're using the left tricep and pushing your left shoulder slightly forward. But now also remember, you're softening. So you find the twist and you kind of stay there. And then you watch for the space to show up. Feel the heaviness through the right shoulder. Now do me a favor, drop the left cheek down in towards the left shoulder. Just let the head hang heavy in towards the left shoulder, adding a little bit of a stretch through the right side of the neck. Notice if you're holding tension through your left leg, notice if you're pulling in your inner thigh or if you're holding tension through your foot. Try to release that if that's happening. So while you're actively twisting, you're trying to soften into it as best as you can. Again, notice if you are feeling anything that's stiffening in, perhaps towards your groin or maybe even low belly. We tend to hold tensions in a variety of places. Everybody is a little different. You just kind of gonna keep scanning. You wanna keep scanning your body for those places. Or if you know already where that happens, maybe you start with those places first. Gosh, I love those sticky torches. Little shaking is okay. Notice if anywhere you start shaking a little, it's totally fine. Slowly release. Back into the center. Uncross your right foot. Extend it out. And then just pause there. And again, notice if there's perhaps any tension. In my case, I feel a little release right here through my right hip flexor, through my groin. The right leg is kind of coming back into some kind of a sensation. Beautiful. And then whenever you're ready to move, the left knee comes in. Maybe you help it. Cross the left foot over your right. And again, the right outer triceps comes over the right knee. You can extend your arm down, or you can keep it up. It's totally up to you. Just find a way into the twist, and maybe you engage it first and you get yourself in there. And once you're in there, you soften. You soften in a way that's not really relaxing. It's not really relaxing. You're not completely releasing, but you're just kind of softening into the shape, if that makes any sense. Left shoulder nice and heavy. External rotation, if you can think of it, it's rolling up and back and down, but it's still soft. Fingertips just for a little bit of a balance. You're not leaning your way back into your left hand. the weight is evenly distributed between both of your sits bones. And if that means you're not twisting nearly as much as I am, if that means that you're over here, that's totally fine. Everybody has a different range of motion, so you just follow the guidance of your body. Either way, you're feeling nice and open through the collarbones. Again, the left shoulder is nice and soft. And then drop the right cheek in towards the right shoulder. Let the heaviness of the head pull your cheek down, stretching through the left side of the neck. And mindfully play with the position of your head. So maybe you can tilt your gaze slightly further down if that feels like you're getting more into the side of the neck. Or maybe you can lift it slightly up. It just depends. As long as you feel something happening in the left side of the neck, that's all good. And again, going right back to the places that you have tendency to hold tension, wherever that may be. And those places may be the same in regardless of the posture or based on which posture you're in. Notice how the shape unfolds ahead of you. Notice where you start is not where you end. Any minor adjustments, leaning into the spaces as they show up. Rechecking with the places that you have a tendency to hold. Natural breath as best as you can. At any point, if you need to tap into a stronger breath, you're certainly welcome to do so. Finish your exhale. Slowly release. Bringing your left leg back and extending it down. And again, take a moment to let sensations come back into the legs. Notice if you feel even maybe a really, really gentle roll through the shoulders. Opening through the collarbones, chin tucked in slightly. Beautiful. Now swing your legs whichever way you like behind you. Come to tabletop, please. Oh man, I love tabletop. So shoulders over the wrists, hips over the knees. Just take a moment and drop the belly down. So you're basically softening through the core. A little bit of a lift through the chest. Again, still there is a broadness through the collarbone, so across shoulder to shoulder. Maybe a little bit of a lift through the The gaze lifts up just a little bit, not too much. But you're definitely letting the belly hang here. The arms are straight, the eyes of the elbows are rolling slightly forward. The palm of the hand is fully connected to the mat. So notice if you're feeling anything anywhere here. Maybe if you're like dropping into your shoulders like this. So you kind of want to lengthen, but still dropping through the belly, so you're like lifting through the chest. Alright, chin into the chest, round, so the opposite motion. And again, you're not really actively pulling the chin into the chest, you're just dropping your head down. You are protracting your shoulder blades and pushing your arms up and away from the mat. And then maybe a very, very, very subtle weight shift in towards the knees or over towards the hips. Very, very subtle, and maybe evenly subtle forward into your hands. So it may be not visible to the naked eye at all, but you are noticing how you're distributing your weight. You're hollowing out your belly, head is hanging nice and heavy. Arms are engaged, you're pushing up and away from the floor. Maybe even slightest roll the head side to side, if you will. Beautiful. Finish your exhale. Finding your way back to neutral. Notice how that feels. Notice how different there is. Notice how much space there is between cat, cow, and neutral. And you really can only notice that if you're going really slow. Taking your arms to the opposite, to the corners of your mat, so a little bit of a wider. Just drop your chest down. Keeping the hips nice and high over the knees. Going to puppy pose, Anahatasana. And the forehead can go down, or if you're feeling good about the neck, you bring the chin slightly up so the chin comes up towards the ground. And then you find your breath here. And softening the chest through the shoulders, opening. Feel the chest heavy. Just let it sink down. And you're lengthening through the arms at the same time. The arms grow really long. You're kind of extending through the shoulders. I like to keep active through the fingertips, but again, once you find the full extension, the fullest expression, you kind of let go. You soften in a way into the gravity, and you let gravity carry your posture. And as you sit there, it shapes and evolves, and the edge keeps coming in and out towards you. And you keep watching that. You keep playing with the edge. You keep reaching towards it, and sometimes stepping away from it if necessary. Notice how the posture treats you. Notice where you are. Where did your mind go? Are you feeling like you need to get out? Are you feeling fidgety, uncomfortable? Allow all that to be there and pay attention to it. Notice and watch the distractions for just simply what they are, distractions. Notice that your mind will shift onto something else fairly quickly if you let it. But perhaps you can stay in control in some way. Tuning into your breath, tuning into your body sensations, or maybe even listening to the music. Finish your exhale completely. And then slowly start shifting your hips back all the way. So you come into child's pose. You crawl the chin in towards the chest and you come up upright, down on your knees. Pausing there, again, maybe a super gentle roll through the shoulders. Maybe the head drops side to side. And you keep watching for the sensations. Notice what that did for you. And even though it may momentarily not feel good, it probably did something good. Beautiful. Now finding your way back onto tabletop, take your feet apart and then tuck your toes and come back onto squat. Yay! So feet are met with distance. Ideally, your heels are on the ground, or if that is not available, you can put block underneath your butt so you can, kind of prop yourself up and help your feet. But kind of try to negotiate the space. Sometimes people put their feet just way too close together. Some people try to open their feet really wide. That may not be the case. Perhaps your feet are completely parallel to each other, and that's fine too. It's just depending on where your body is. So my feet are actually, they're a little open, but they're pretty close all in all considered. Like Robbie's feet are way more open than mine. And then Erica is like somewhere where I am. Okay, so first things first, find an active expression. So elbows will push into the knees, hands come to heart center, and then pull the thumbs in towards your breastbone, open through the chest, lift the gaze, chin tucked in slightly, pull the pelvic floor in and up, squeeze the belly. The hands are pushing into each other, the elbows are spreading the knees wide. Notice how the feet are feeling about it. Notice where the toes land. Are you digging with the toes into the mat, or are your toes really soft? Where is your weight? Is the tail pulling down and under, or do you feel any pressure at your low back? Just notice. There's a lot going on here. Squat is really, really good for you. You have 5 more breaths here in this particular expression. Now, can you stay here and soften a little bit? Can you kind of let go on all of that engagement that I just made you do? And can you be in somewhat an active squat without a full force? 2 more breaths. 1 more. And then slowly just drop the head and neck down. Let the arms come down onto the ground. You're gonna soften the knees in towards the shoulders. You're just gonna rest them there. Again, maybe a little bit of a negotiation of the space for the feet to be just right. And then here you go, your passive squat. This This is such a good place, you guys, to be. Doesn't exactly start comfortable, especially if you're not used to squatting a lot. But if you do start squatting some, it has a lot and lots of benefits. How much can you release? Can you soften into your feet? Can you soften into your shoulders? Can you release your arms? Just let them melt. Soften some more. Find some space. Finish your exhale. And then slowly put some weight into your hands. Come onto your tippy toes and lift your seat up. So you're in standing forward fold with your feet slightly apart. If you'd like to bring your toes a little further in, maybe even put your feet tiny bit closer together, but not all the way. So hip width distance, feet slightly in, maybe heels slightly out. Don't be afraid to bend your knees. Ideally resting your low belly, kind of closing the space between your low belly and your thighs. And again, releasing the head and neck completely. Dropping into standing forward fold. Maybe a little negotiation of the space. Hollow out the belly, you're hinging at the waistline again. You're trying to close the space between your hips, between your low belly and your thighs. So mine are actually touching. Notice I cannot put my hands there. That's how, and then if you need to bend your knees a lot, then you do that. And then you shift your weight forward into your toes. And then trying to find a place of somewhat of a release. The legs start shaking over time, that's totally fine. No worries about that. You're spreading the sits bones, opening through the sits bones. You're really sticking your butt up into the air.
Stay connected to your breath. Notice where the discomfort is. Which part of the legs or the hips or the hip flexors or the hamstrings maybe. The upper body should feel super nice and soft. The head is really hanging heavy. It's like a giant ball releasing at the end of your neck. It's just hanging. Letting the weight of the head pull you down. You're almost done. Hang in there. Finish your exhale. Inhale to half lift. So crawl your upper body up. Perhaps straighten your legs. Maybe put your hands down so you can use them as a support to propel your chest slightly up. Straightening the legs, hollow out the belly, a little bit of a lift through the chest, crown of the head, reaching forward. This should feel really nice. It's beautiful. Now crawl your hands slightly further forward, drop down to your knees. Now take your feet apart, and then if this is not available for you, we're gonna sit our butt between our legs. But if you can, just grab a blog, a couple books, and put it underneath your seat, like this. If you have the space, then just drop down in towards hero's pose. So the knees are pointing straight forward. The legs are somewhat parallel to the sides of your mat. And then you can just stay here, but I like to release the hip flexors that we have been just working on in the squat and in the standing forward fold. So perhaps you find your way onto your forearms. And then when you do, lift your hips up, kind of adjust the legs, find some space. And again, maybe this is where you end, and that's totally fine. If you have a space to go all the way down onto your back, go all the way down onto your back. Again, if you find your way down, lift your hips, find a space for your legs. The knees are pointing directly forward, as if you're imagining lines going through your legs down forward. And then you just release right here. Arms can be nice and wide, palms facing the sky. Open through the collarbones. Just notice. Again, you are totally fine in seated or just on your forearms, hanging wherever you find a place, but we're looking for a little bit of a stretch here through the hip flexors, adding the stretch through the quads, kind of countering the squat and the standing forward fold. And again, as best as you can, if you release your body weight into gravity, letting gravity pull you down into your mat. Scanning your body for sensations. Notice how the low back feels. If it's okay, notice the knees. The knees can be tricky here if your knees are not up for the challenge. You can always keep one leg extended if one of the knees is perhaps injured, or simply staying upright in a seated on the block, that's fine too. Another option, if hero pose is completely unavailable to you, you could be on your back with your knees bent, soles of the feet onto the floor, and you could drop your knees on towards your one side first and then towards the other side. That would be kind of as close as you could get to this without having such a pressure on your knees. So that option is always there. Finish your exhale completely. And then slowly finding your way back to your forearms if you're all the way down. And then all the way back up to seated. Maybe pausing here. And then hands come forward. Lift your hips, find your way back to tabletop. Pausing there. Again, no abrupt movements, no quick release, none of that. Allowing the sensations to return to your body in the most natural way. And then slowly drop the belly down, brow through the collarbones, gentle lift of the gaze. Straight arms of the elbow rolling forward. And then chin into the chest. Release the head, let it hang heavy. Pull the belly in, push the mat away with your arms. Very subtle movement over back, over your knees. And then slightly forward, shoulders over the wrists. Again, the head keeps hanging super heavy. The part that you're pushing your mat away is your arms and your shoulders. Finding your way back to neutral. Again, notice how much different there is between cat, cow, and neutral. Now cross your feet behind you, sit your legs, sit your butt all the way behind your feet, extend your legs forward. Soles of the feet find the mat, bend your knees. And lower all the way down onto your belly. The knees come in with you, give them a little bit of a squeeze. Now keep your right knee in, extend your left leg long. Just drop it down. The right knee, it comes a little bit closer to your armpits, you guys. So it's not straight up to your chest. It's a little bit off to your right side. And then if you can pull it in just a little bit further, it should give you a little bit more space. And then feel lengthening through the left leg all the way through your toes, out. Beautiful. Now the left hand grabs the right knee, guide it off to your left side, right arm reaches back. Adjust the upper body slightly off to your left. And then maybe the left hand pulls a little bit. Again, broad open through the chest, through the collarbones. The right shoulder is heavy and down on the mat. I like to keep my gaze up, but you are certainly welcome to drop your gaze to your right, away from your legs. And then notice if you could pull your right hip slightly further down. Or maybe if you can, lift it up and then pull it down. And then notice if there's like any cracking through the spine happening. That's totally okay, just be mindful. And then once you find that space, again, soften, release. Give your body weight into gravity, let it pull you in. You arrive in the posture, you release. Gravity does the rest for you. If you're one of my super flexi yogis, you can totally reach out for your foot as well and straighten your right leg out. But that only works if you're super flexible through the hamstrings, because once you straighten the leg, it's kind of hard to release. But if that's where you want to go right ahead. Again, keep scanning your body. Notice if you're holding any tension, or more so, if there is any stiffness around. And if you find any, try to consciously release it. Finish your exhale, please. Bring your right knee back in towards your chest on your inhale. Maybe adjusting your upper body back over your hips. Pull your right knee in, give it a little bit of a squeeze, and then switch your legs. Right leg goes up, left knee comes in towards the armpit. So again, slightly outside of your rib cage, so you kind of have a little space to pull it a little closer in. Feel the lengthening through your right leg, through your foot, all the way out of your mat. Maybe squeeze the quad just momentarily, lengthen through the right leg. Another breath here, release the engagement with your right leg. And then right hand takes the left knee, guides it off to your right side. Again, adjusting the upper body, crawl it slightly off to your right side. The left arm extends long, left shoulder stays down on the ground. Right hand heavy on the left left knee back up and in towards the chest. Adjust the upper body. Again, you gotta crawl it a little back over the hips. Pull the left knee in, give it a squeeze. And then bringing your right knee in as well. Hug the knees in. Flatten the low back onto the mat. Let the knees kind of release into your arms. Perhaps pull the forehead in towards the knees for just a moment. Lay the head and neck down first and slowly extend the feet opposite corners of your mat. Little wiggle through the hips, and that's not really wiggle, it's more of a sway. Just a very gentle, almost invisible sway of the hips. Release. Let the feet open, soften. Collarbones open, shoulders heavy and soft. Notice how much space you have between your shoulder blades. So you don't want too much space, right? You want the shoulder blades nice and flat on the mat. Little wiggle through the jaw. Soften the face. Consciously soften your forehead. Kind of imagine it spreads out, releasing all the wrinkles. And then softening the tongue inside of your mouth. Draw a slow, long inhale in through your nose. Open mouth, exhale, release. Beautiful. One more just like that. Inhale in through your nose. Slow out of your mouth, soft sigh out. Let your body sink into the mat. One final give in to gravity. In this case, complete surrender. Notice the contact points between the back of your body and the mat. Notice the heaviness of your limbs, of your head, face, chest, upper body, rib cage, belly, low back, hips, your thighs and hamstring, your knees, your shins and your calves, your ankles, your feet, and your toes. Release. Take a moment, check in with your mind, notice where it goes. Can you stay present with yourself for just a few more minutes?
Slowly shift your awareness back to the breath. Maybe bringing some movement to the fingers, to the toes. Stretch the fingers apart, stretch the toes apart. Arms reach up over the head. One leg, one arm longer than the other leg, other arm longer than the first. Whenever you're ready, the knees find their way into the chest, a little bit of a squeeze. You can roll onto your side, pausing there. If you'd like to come up, just up and down the spine, slowly, mindfully, softly, and gently finding your way back to seated. All right, anybody staying with me? Or are you guys both leaving? Who's staying? Both of you are staying? Okay, great. So I will restart the Instagram. The Inagram and Outergram, the Instagram feed will restart, so come back. I think it may have just stopped. So come back right away. If you're on Facebook, stay where you are.
Alright, I'm gonna go.
Okay, you are gonna go? Okay.